Isshiki Otsutsuki was a brand new character that was introduced in the last chapter of the Boruto manga, and I spoke about him a tiny bit in my review of that chapter, but now I get to go more in detail and probably give you guys a better explanation and also give you guys some questions that I do have about Isshiki Otsutsuki. Now, to understand Isshiki Otsutsuki, I think we have to first understand who Jigen is. I'm pretty sure you guys all been hearing about Jigen. Jigen is the guy that's pretty much the leader of the COD organization. We thought he was going to be the big blood, but it seems that Isshiki Otsutsuki is really the guy behind the whole scenes. Now, it seems that Isshiki actually took Jigen's body. Now, here's the thing. Before Jigen's body was taken over, Jigen was still a very strong character, mainly because Isshiki Otsutsuki looks for vessels with the karma seal. Now, we've seen that in the last chapter when he pretty much had an interest in Boruto mainly because he had the karma seal. Not only that, Isshiki Otsutsuki went through a very long and strenuous ritual where he pretty much killed multiple children all to get them the karma seal, and it seemed like the only person that really accepted the karma seal was Kawaki. Therefore, that's why Kawaki ended up being the actual vessel. Now, it's very significant in the term of Jigen mainly because it seems that Jigen already had the karma seal. Jigen was not an experiment, and not only that, Jigen has a very different type of karma seal. Jigen's karma seal looks absolutely insane. It looked like he killed like 1,000 Otsutsuki members before in the past, but the most important part of all of this is that his karma seal doesn't look like Kawaki's. His karma seal doesn't look like the kids who failed to obtain the karma seal when they were getting the karma seal. So this pretty much tells me that Jigen, before Isshiki Otsutsuki, he was strong enough to rival some Otsutsuki members and possibly even take down some of the Otsutsuki members that they had. I feel like Isshiki Otsutsuki 1000% gives whoever he inhabits a boost, but I really don't think it's going to be an insane amount of boost. Isshiki Otsutsuki, when he takes over a body, it has to be able to maintain and pretty much control the amount of power that Isshiki Otsutsuki puts into that vessel, and I think Jigen's body failed to do so in the last chapter of Boruto, mainly because he was fighting against two god level characters, two of the strongest shinobis of all time, Naruto and Sasuke, but also because Jigen was probably being controlled by Isshiki Otsutsuki for a very long time. Therefore, he was not able to maintain Isshiki controlling his body. Now, the fact that Isshiki Otsutsuki's spirit is always throttled or maintained or decreased by the body that he has, that's going to be very significant going into my next point about Kawaki. Now, I spoke about this a tiny bit in my review. If you guys can recall, a couple chapters ago when Naruto and Boruto were training, Kawaki had a flashback to when he was actually training with Jigen. It was kind of a sick parallel, man, because Kawaki was kind of thinking of Jigen or Isshiki Otsutsuki as his father, but now it seems like this was all a ploy to get Kawaki stronger so he could possibly maintain all the abilities and the whole spirit of Isshiki Otsutsuki. Now, during the training, we knew it was harsh, we knew it was rigorous, but one of the main things that Isshiki Otsutsuki was telling Kawaki is that he needed Kawaki to master the karma seal, and because he had to master the karma seal, in my opinion, I feel like Isshiki Otsutsuki is only going to be as strong as Kawaki is as of right now. Now, as I spoke about before, Isshiki Otsutsuki is automatically going to give Kawaki a boost if he does eventually take over his body. If we can assume that this right here is also Isshiki Otsutsuki taking over Kawaki's body, but one of the most important points that we can't take away from this is the fact that he is not going to be as strong as he was in Jigen's body, mainly because Jigen alone without Isshiki Otsutsuki controlling him most likely was stronger than Kawaki alone without Isshiki Otsutsuki controlling him as well. Now, if it was a situation where Isshiki Otsutsuki was able to take over a body and that body could have possibly been just as strong as Isshiki Otsutsuki was before in the past, Isshiki Otsutsuki would have never been training with Kawaki. He would have just tried to keep Kawaki as safe as possible, but that wasn't the case. Isshiki Otsutsuki did multiple things to Kawaki's body. If you guys recall, Kawaki started off as a regular boy. Now Kawaki's body and genes in general are injected with scientific ninjutsu. Now he can do multiple things, and not only that, he forced Kawaki to get better with his body and also with the karma. So now if you guys recall, to another character who uses the vessels, now Orochimaru doesn't necessarily need the body to be extremely strong for him to have the same level of impact. That's why in the actual anime of Naruto and also Naruto Shippuden, he didn't really train his vessels. The only vessel that he did really train was Sasuke, mainly because Sasuke could have gave him that other vessels could not have given him, which was the Sharingan. But the previous vessels that Orochimaru did have, he pretty much didn't train him. Like this guy, he never trained him. This girl right here, even though it was extremely early, we knew that he never trained her as well, and that's because he felt confident that he could replicate his baseline or base powers even if they were not trained. Now, of course, Orochimaru always picked the strongest character, man, because it's just smart to pick the strongest character, and he would also always look for a vessel that had a special Kekkei, but that right there was just so he could boost his baseline. Now, in this situation right here, Kawaki isn't really bringing anything new to the table except that scientific ninjutsu, and of course, Jigen himself or Isshiki Otsutsuki himself gave Kawaki that ability. So if we understand that when Isshiki Otsutsuki does eventually take over Kawaki's body, he's probably not going to be as strong as he was when he did fight off against Naruto and Sasuke. And I think that right there is the most realistic, man, because we understand that Kawaki is going to be eventually fighting against Boruto. If Boruto and Kawaki Kawaki / Isshiki Otsutsuki is presumably just as strong as he was in Jigen's body, that right there would probably mean that Boruto has no shot against Kawaki or Isshiki Otsutsuki unless Boruto himself can solo Naruto and Sasuke. And in 3 or 4 years, even with the training that Boruto can get, and also even with the Dojutsu and the karma seal that Boruto has, that right there is still pretty much extremely impossible, and that's just a stretch to imagine. Now, one of the more important questions that I do have about Isshiki Otsutsuki and Jigen in general is if the Kata organization understand that Jigen is being controlled by an Otsutsuki member. Now, this right here is something very significant, and I feel like this could possibly bungle the whole arc or the whole series of Boruto, period, man, because Jigen, when he discusses things amongst the Kata organization, they don't call Jigen Isshiki Otsutsuki, they call Jigen Jigen. And I just feel like that right there is extremely weird. For example, when Orochimaru took over someone's body, we never called Orochimaru whoever's body he took over, we called Orochimaru Orochimaru. So the fact that they're still calling Isshiki Otsutsuki Jigen, that pretty much tells me that they probably don't know. Now, another thing that's very strange is the fact that they're not Otsutsuki members. Now, I can't necessarily say definitively that all of them are not Otsutsuki members, but the characters that we do know, Kashin Koji and also Delta, those two are definitely not Otsutsuki members, and we also know that those two are also very close to Jigen himself. Now, here's the thing, we understand that Otsutsuki members, they hang out with other Otsutsuki members. Now, that right there can possibly be very different from the Otsutsuki members that kind of went rogue from the original clan. Now, if you guys recall, Kage was a character or an Otsutsuki member who went rogue from the Otsutsuki clan. Kage never really hung out with any Otsutsuki members. Now, in the case with Isshiki Otsutsuki, it can be the situation where the team of both of them went rogue from the Otsutsuki clan. Therefore, Isshiki Otsutsuki cannot really have any contact with the Otsutsuki clan. And I think that right there would definitely be a very realistic situation. Now, it's not that the characters of the Kata organization doesn't necessarily know about the Otsutsuki clan, man, because we understood or we heard them speaking about Momoshiki before in the past. So they know of the Otsutsuki clan. It's just a matter of if they know that Isshiki Otsutsuki is actually controlling Jigen himself. Now, Isshiki Otsutsuki is extremely weird. He's not really immortal. He doesn't really have a body, therefore he goes from body to body or goes from vessel to vessel and pretty much lives like that. Now, here's the thing that's really confusing to me. It's the fact that Otsutsuki members, usually they're all immortal. So why does Isshiki Otsutsuki need to get a body specifically for him? Now, this could possibly be a situation where Isshiki Otsutsuki was killed by a regular human, possibly even Jigen, and then Isshiki Otsutsuki found a way to take over Jigen's body. A lot of people have that same theory for Boruto, and I would understand that as well, but it's still very confusing that he gets to jump from person to person only if they have a karma seal. Isshiki Otsutsuki did say that he had an interest in Boruto. Even though we understand that Boruto's karma seal did come from Momoshiki, it seems that Isshiki Otsutsuki still has an option of jumping in Boruto's karma seal and controlling Boruto's body. Now, even though the next vessel for Isshiki Otsutsuki is definitely very important, we've understood that for majority of the manga, that is still not Isshiki Otsutsuki's main goal. Now, the main goal to me, it's pretty much unknown. Sasuke and Naruto, they pretty much had an idea of what Isshiki Otsutsuki's goal was, and that was to pretty much take all the chakra in this dimension. It's pretty much a mad race in the Otsutsuki clan to see who can pretty much obtain the most chakra in the shortest amount of time. Now, that could still be the case for Isshiki Otsutsuki, but for a character of Isshiki Otsutsuki's ilk, that motivation right there is just too small-minded for a character like him. But it's still very possible for Isshiki Otsutsuki to just be out for chakra. Now, my personal opinion on the situation is that all of the Otsutsuki members in the clan, or the teams of the Otsutsuki members in the clan, they're pretty much fighting for supremacy in the Otsutsuki clan. For example, they all want to become the strongest in the Otsutsuki clan. The Otsutsuki members that we fought before in this dimension, maybe Momoshiki, maybe Urishiki, maybe Kage, they're pretty much tiny like foot soldiers in the whole scheme of things. I think there are possibly Otsutsuki members out there in the higher ups that are pretty much insane in terms of strength, and we've seen that already. We're talking about Naruto and Sasuke pretty much thrashing Momoshiki and then coming back and getting soloed like mid-difficulty by Isshiki Otsutsuki. We understand the levels of power that may be in the Otsutsuki clan. But the problem with that goal is the fact that the Kata organization, they have nothing to do with that. For example, what does Kashin Koji have to do with if Isshiki Otsutsuki is presumed to be one of the strongest Otsutsuki members of all time? What is the incentive for the Kata organization to stick with Isshiki Otsutsuki? If they know that Isshiki Otsutsuki did actually take over Jigen's body, it has to be something in it for them. And if there isn't something in it for them, I personally feel like they just don't know that Isshiki Otsutsuki has been controlling Jigen for a very long time. But let me know what you guys think about this in the comment section below, and give me some of your questions that you have about Isshiki Otsutsuki Member, because he's a very interesting character that we haven't necessarily seen before in the anime of Naruto, Naruto Shippuden, or even Boruto. But it's been your boy Baara B, and we out.
It's a knife.
Check my clock, I can't stop. Fuck around, make my 40 pop. No popcorn, I pop pistols. Reaming my body, clothing no issue. Bitch, you look sick, you need a tissue. You drop a body, I just might bless you. I'm at your sexual, no high cholesterol. Where's Jenny Craig? Bitch, just get sexual.